All right, who remembers when trucking used to be cool, man? Like back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Like back in the day when you didn't have My Carrier Packets, Highway, all these crazy setups. You had to actually get a fax, fill that packet out, fax it back. No GPSs, and if you did have a GPS, you have that big ass little like looks like a prison TV. In the Garmin in your truck. Most drivers even have cell phones back there. They would stop like at payphones. You know what I mean? Let's talk about like the Rand McNally Atlas that people use. Those big ass map books. And it's just like crazy, just like thinking about it because like I'm 41 now, so I started, man, if I remember correctly, because I think my first trucking job was like at maybe like 17, 18 years old. So at 18, I would have been graduating high school. That would have been like 2002. So I was probably like right around like, yeah, like right around 2002 when I started like getting into trucking. So like if you realistically think about it, it's 2025 now. It's not even that long ago. Wow, I keep on saying I'm almost at 20 years. I guess I'm over 20 years without even realizing it. But like I just keep on like thinking like how it was back in the day, like when you use like DAT, like I don't even people remember this, like you used to have to pay per click. So you'd see like Chicago to Los Angeles, and if you want to click that, I believe it was like 99 cents or something like that. And then I remember like all the bosses I had back then, they'd be like, "Oh, be careful, don't click. You don't click unless you really want the load, because they have to pay, So like you did 3, 4, 500 clicks in a month, like you have to pay that much money. But back then it was like easier. People actually paid like decent money. It wasn't as crazy as it is now. Like it was just such a different time. That's like when you like even tell people about it now. Like a lot of people like look at me like I'm crazy. Like back then you'd have like a driver like he'd be going to like California. He'd like stop in Vegas, go gamble. You can't get a hold of him. He's MIA. Like he has no cell phone. Like you know what I mean. It was just a wild time back then. It was definitely a lot of fun, and you learned a lot of things. Because you had to do so much. Like even like we were talking about the setup packet. Like you actually have to receive a fax, get a whole packet, fill it out, fax it back to them, and that's how you got set up, and that's how you did things. Like everything was so hands on, and now everything with this technology, it's like yeah, I get it. Like technology makes it move forward, but sometimes like trucking is just not about technology. Like they want like AI to replace everything. Like it's built on relationships between people. Like when you get a customer or you work with a broker, you guys are really good at. You'll meet up, you'll talk, you'll have like a personal connection. And they're trying to take like that personal connection out of trucking, which like doesn't make sense. Like sure, a program could do check calls, could send you Raycons, you could book online. But what good does it do if you're not building personal relationships? You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like the personal stuff's like kind of getting ripped out of trucking, slowly, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. And I hate that because like I like, like you meet people, you do business with people, you get a lot of stuff done, and it's starting to get like less and less of that going on, which personally I really don't like. And then you got all the restrictions, all like what I mean, God forbid something happens to you, like your company, you can't even get set up on highway. There goes like 20-30% of brokers. You get a carrier for one report for like say even like from a broker that shouldn't be writing one. Like there's brokers like bad credit, like that don't pay their bills. They're giving out carrier for one reports. They're doing it for like hostage so you can pay them to get it taken off. And like you get one of those reports in your company, you're losing 20, 30, 40% of business. It's like it's gotten so crazy. Like I understand there's like scumbag companies and like trucking companies and brokerages, but at the same time, it's just getting so out of hand that like it's just nuts. Like I don't like it. Like for the first time, I'm actually like not liking trucking. As much as I always loved it, man. Like you came in, it was like the Wild West. You had fun, you did stuff, and you got along with people. And when you build good relationships, that's you build on that, and then people trust you, and you do more work with them. But now it just seems like they don't care. Like whatever we do, you get cut off, or this is wrong, this is wrong. I can't use you, or this. Like it's just wild, man. And like I just been kind of like sitting here like thinking about like how it was back in the day. Like even for my first trucking company job, I knew I wanted to get into trucking because of just some personal family stuff. But I just grabbed a paper. It was a Polish paper, and I started calling everybody that had a trucking job. I had no experience, nothing. I got an interview. It was for $15 an hour. I went there and I was like, "Listen, dude, I got no experience. I'll take $10 an hour. I'm young. I'm a quick learner. I'm good with computers. Just give me a chance." And that's how I got my chance. And I just been, doing it pretty much since then. I think I took maybe a year break, did something else for a little bit, then went right back to it, and then just stayed with it the whole time. And it was always like a place where you could, like an industry you get into to get a good job, good career, like just make decent money. If you're good in sales, you can make like a lot of money. So it's really wild how like if you take a look at it, how much has changed since I started only until now. And then like I could even imagine like the truckers from like the 80s, the 70s, the early 90s. Like, I can just imagine like what kind of stuff they got going on. Like, you can't use a GPS. You just got to drive. You got to use an atlas. You're gonna get lost. Like, just it's nuts. But like back then, it kind of like seemed to me like that's how people like got grit and character because you didn't have a GPS guiding you everywhere. You have to figure stuff out. You have to learn stuff. You have to depend on yourself. Like you can't depend on all these other things. And they like made people like men. Like it made men because like everything was like rugged and tough and figured out on your own. And now these kids got like all these TikToks and YouTubes. They want to build a doghouse. They could go on YouTubes and just figure it out and just do it. Back then, we didn't have any of that stuff. Like and I'm only 41, so I can imagine the people that are like 60, 70, like how much rougher they had it, like but like overall, I think that stuff, like we're missing a little bit of that stuff and it's too much technology and too much this going on and it's kind of messing us up, man. So I think we need a balance between both. And hopefully, like I hope to God that in trucking, it stays where you need like those relationships like face to face, you know what I mean? Like and it doesn't just turn on into this like AI generated and this workflow, seamless stuff. I just really hope it kind of gets back a little bit to how it was. Chances are it's probably not going to happen, but yeah, I just wanted to throw it out there, and see what you guys think about it, and put it in the comments and let's have a discussion.